This is the Golden Grappler, Travis Huckabee, and you're listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is yours truly, the hardcore princess, Jules Malone. And today you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hey, this is Max Zaleski here from Without a Cause. Whack, baby. And you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
This is the Obro Owen Brody, and this is Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hey, this is Clutch Jesse V, and you're listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
This is the smash hit Joel Bateman, Australia's premier deathmatch wrestler, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hey, guys, this is Robyn Renegade, and you're listening in on Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hello, and welcome to the show. It's Wrestling with Entertainment, bringing you the latest exclusive breaking news, previewing and reviewing the latest shows from WWE, AEW, New Japan, and everything in between every Saturday, and interviewing all your favorite wrestlers every Wednesday on YouTube and Castbox, sponsored by Rogue Energy. Use promo code WrestlingWithE for 10% off your next purchase. I am your host, James J., alongside Coleco Yachts.
What do you call a dinosaur that uses a lot of words? A thesaurus.
Wow, that joke at the very beginning. What's that joke? And Scooter Dust, who is not with us for the moment. But it is a great day for wrestling, because we are wrestling with Robyn Renegade.
Hey, how's it going?
Going good. How are you?
Going good. How you doing?
I'm good, guys. Living, breathing, right here now at training, so just trying to get some work in.
Now, can you confirm that you are actually Robyn and not your twin sister, Charlette?
Can't confirm that, but yes, this is she. This is Robyn Renegade. My sister is not here at the moment. She will be in a few hours, though.
Okay. Can you tell us what you got coming up and where we can find you on social media?
So you can find me on social media on Instagram at robyn.renegade, and then on Twitter at W18Robyn. We got a couple things coming up. Me and my sister just worked at a Mission Pro just last week. We should be going back, I think, the 31st of June at the end of this month.
So tomorrow.
I'm sorry?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Well, yeah, this is coming out June 30th.
Oh, yes, tomorrow. Oh, so sorry, guys.
No,
yes, tomorrow. So we should be the day after this. And then there should be a few things coming up with some AEW things. We have a few matches coming out, I think, as well. So that should be fun. The school has some shows coming up. I know there's a show this weekend on the 25th. And then I think the next one is going to be the 30th, when this actually comes. No, not this comes out, the next month after, the 30th. Okay. And so, yeah, so we just got a few things coming up, a few good shows to look forward to.
And you got merchandise?
No merchandise just yet. We're working on those shirts. They should be coming in within the next few weeks. We also have some 8x10s coming to us, I think, at the end of this week. So, yes, merch, but just not quite yet.
Okay. And all your social media links will be in the description of the video below. And when you do actually get some merchandise, we'll add that link at a later date.
Awesome.
Like you said, you worked for Mission Pro and AEW. Can you tell us about your relationship with both of those companies?
So Mission Pro, we just started at Mission Pro as our first show last week, and it was a lot of fun. Thunder Rosa, we've known Thunder Rosa, I think, since we started wrestling, probably about 2 or 3 months into our first time like in the ring ever. So that was fun. She says she knows us and she has a lot of faith in us. So she hooked us up with that. AEW just happened to happen. There's not really too much connection or too much backstory with that. We're just super grateful for the opportunities that we've gotten, especially myself. It's been a lot of fun, and hopefully we continue.
Awesome. Now, Khalifa, you have a question?
Yes, I do. I do want to get into the Mission Pro because one of the things that a lot of people may not notice about Mission Pro unless they listen to radio was that most recently Thunder Rosa was able to get into a beef with the one Dave LaGreca of Busted Open. And but I just wanted you to ask you if you've seen like any bump in the company as a whole, because I think as a platform of a nationally syndicated wrestling talk show to use its platform to promote women's wrestling and especially Mission Pro. Thunder Rosa, shout out. She's a UC girl, so I'm gonna take it. So I'll give her a little bit of it. But have you like the buzz of Mission Pro, has it continued to elevate ever since then? Have you seen that instant growth?
I definitely believe so, yes. I think I've seen a lot of growth coming from Mission Pro. I also know that before COVID hit, Mission Pro was really big. It was starting to get a little bit of buzz in them, and it just people started to know who Mission Pro was, the wrestlers on Mission Pro. So I definitely think that, especially after COVID, or I wouldn't say after, obviously we're still in a pandemic, but as it's starting to come to a close, yeah, definitely, for sure. I think all of these indie promotions are going to get a lot of buzz, just because we haven't had wrestling in about a year and a half, like
Right.
It's completely different now. So I think once everything really starts opening back up and all the indie shows, especially Mission Pro, it'll be super big. Everybody's going to blow up.
Now, what has it been like wrestling in the pandemic era of pro wrestling, in front of no crowd whatsoever? And how has it felt to have the crowd back since then?
So it's super hard wrestling in a pandemic. I can't really speak from too much experience from beforehand. Me and my sister debuted maybe 2 or 3 months before the pandemic happened, had about a handful of matches in front of a crowd, and they were really good. I enjoyed the crowd, but definitely going from wrestling in front of a crowd to not, it's extremely different. It's really hard to feed off of people who aren't there, the energy that's not there. It starts feeling more like training than an actual show, and then performances start, to change into that training mindset. I do think that a lot of wrestlers, especially myself, have learned a lot from this pandemic and how to better themselves and not just, how can I put this in a way, not just train, but constantly be on and performing. But it's been extremely hard. But wrestling in front of a crowd now, it's a completely different feeling than it was before. There's so much more energy than there was a year ago because we haven't had crowds. No one's been able to be there and watch in person. So now they're excited for everything. They love it. And that type of energy is just like irreplaceable. I've never felt anything like it before. It's just amazing. So being in front of a crowd back now, just 10 times better than it was a year ago.
I said something interesting. You said that you kind of treat every time you get in the ring like a performance. Does that mean like even when you're training, you're kind of doing the math in your head? How would the crowd react to this? How I'm still going to give what I would do in front of a crowd into this training session. Is that kind of what you meant?
Yeah. I was always told, I was always in sports growing up, so you always practice the way that you play, and you play the way you practice. So if you go into training and you don't perform like you're in front of 10 million people, or you won't ever perform that way in an actual setting where you're in front of 10 million people. So I do think that, yes, then again, training and my friends and the people I constantly train with, they pop for different things. I get different reactions out of them. But I do know that if I can pop my classmates and my training partners, then I should be able to pop a crowd, because my training partners are going to be the hardest to pop because they know everything that I'm doing. They know everything that I'm going to do. They watch me train all the time. So if I can get a reaction out of them, I can get a reaction out of a normal crowd, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're being joined by Scooter Dust. Let's finally decided to show up.
Hi.
Could you, Scooter, can you hear us?
I think I killed him with the dad joke.
Yeah.
I might have.
Maybe
I think the dad. I think the dad joke got him. I'm sorry, Scooter. Sorry, I killed you.
Yeah, maybe he was never really here to begin with.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
There you go. There we go. Sorry, but you're getting your first vaccination. Whew. All right. Robyn, pleasure to meet you.
Hi there. Nice to meet you. How are you doing? How you feeling after that shot?
I'm. If I start to drift in and out,
we know why.
don't know why. But Robyn, you would like to look for the vicarious connections here at Wrestling With. I don't know if James and Kaliko have mentioned this, but you've competed against someone I broke into the business with, Nikki Adams.
Yes, Nikki Adams. She's a very sweet person. I love her so much.
Yes, and given that Nikki trained in New York, but I believe you competed in Alabama, which happens to be where my wife is from. How would you compare? If you could say it in this day and age, the scene between New York and Alabama in terms of wrestling.
In terms of what exactly?
In terms of wrestling.
Well, I've actually never been to New York. Hopefully one of these days. We wrestled with Empower, and that's where me and my sister wrestled, Nikki Adams.
I'm so sorry. I screwed that up. The match listing I had is apparently wrong.
No, you're good. We were actually supposed to travel to New York with Empower, but once again, the pandemic hit and everything got shut down and we couldn't really do anything. And then after that, I don't think Empower's had too many shows. Maybe not any actually afterwards. So we started to travel with them, never really got the chance.
All right. Kaliko, you have a question.
Yes, I do. Well, you were talking about you play sports, but I was about to come with that Allen Iverson practice. But but when you did bring up that you were an athlete, and I think one of the things that this generation of women's wrestling all have in common is that they had some kind of athletic training via sports like basketball, volleyball, something where their body was already in the tip top of shape, which was a requirement prior to the previous generation. Considering that you did play sports, and did you consider it an easier transition into the psychology of wrestling by someone who just comes in without any athletic experience whatsoever?
I definitely think that the training aspect and just being able to get into the ring and just start doing things helps with the sports background. Psychology of wrestling, not so much. It took me about 2 or 3 years to figure out how to, make a match make sense and call a match. But I will say that when I started wrestling, it definitely helped that I was playing about 2 or 3 other sports.
And the only reason I brought that up is because, like, the prime example is Ronda Rousey, to where she was so competitive that she wouldn't take losing in a wrestling match. You see, and that's where I meant in the psychology of actually losing the match, rather than
I definitely think it helps with the emotion and the feeling that it's competitive. Growing up and playing a sport, you have to constantly be competitive. My family, especially, super competitive people. And wrestling is a very competitive sport. So, and sometimes you have to change and take emotions from past experiences, past losses or feelings that you've ever had in a sport and pertain them to wrestling in the match. So I definitely think that, being able to start wrestling and have some kind of background in the way of sports and competitiveness, it definitely works. It definitely helps you with just the emotions behind everything. So yes, in that sense, yes.
Now, before wrestling was a career choice, you was interested in joining the military. How did that come about?
So in high school, I was in ROTC, and I started ROTC, I think, my freshman year of high school. And I hated it at first, did not want to do it. My parents made me. And about 6 months into it, about halfway through the school year, I fell in absolute love with it. It was Marine Corps ROTC. So the CrossFit, the physicalness, the strictness that it was. I also grew up with very strict parents, but it taught me hierarchy, which is extremely helpful in all ways of life, whether in the military or out of the military, especially in wrestling. There's a hierarchy in everything that you're doing. So I just fell in love with the stability of the military. I also enjoyed taking care of people. I just loved to take care of sick people. A lot of the times growing up, my family members had surgeries or just weren't feeling good. I'd go over and I just help them out all the time, take care of them for a few weeks. And I just, with that coupled with the military and how I felt about it, I just wanted to join the Navy, actually, and become a nurse. And then that didn't end up happening. I was signing paperwork to join, and then I got a flyer to join or to go to the school. And that's what I did. I decided the Navy will always be there for me no matter what, but wrestling probably won't. So let's try my hand at wrestling.
Oh my God. As a veteran and a Marine Corps veteran, Navy is totally different from our Marine Corps.
Oh, yeah. I've heard it. My brothers were in the Marine Corps both. They both told me not to join. So I was like, you know what? I'll take that advice, and I can still work with Marines, especially if I'm a doctor or a nurse in the Navy. So I decided to join the Navy. I still have my hand on a little bit of the Marines, but not completely a Marine.
Oh, trust me, it will always be there. It is not going anywhere. And plus, I was going to say what type of ROTC. I was in Air Force, and it was way laid back. So I was like, oh, my goodness. Like, Marine Corps out the gate. So,
oh, yeah. Marine Corps ROTC was a struggle. We used to have this thing called a sand pit, and we had an obstacle course in the sand pit. And whenever we did something that our drill instructors did not like, they would send us to the sand pit, and we'd have to work out in the sand and then run the O course and then work out after the O course. So.
Oh, now you go. Let's see. Now we go into military things. I'm gonna give you one boot camp story. I always have a story for everyone. So I was in boot camp, and I happened to be at Paris Island, South Carolina, and at the time, only all the women would go to Paris Island. So it's just how it went. So the only time the boys and girls could meet up was at church. But when we met up at church, we would just sit there and pass notes. You know how like you did in high school, like the "Do you like me? Yes, no, baby button." Get some addresses and try to like, talk to each other that way. And one of the female drill instructors caught one of the females' letters that we sent, and she came straight to our battalion and got all of us. And we literally toured every sand pit on that base in our dress blues.
Oh no, not in the blues, not in the blues.
Oh yeah, it was in the blues. And all the time, my drill instructor in the back is on the truck going, "Oh, we got some pimps and players around here." So there you go, my boot camp story to help you out, whether or not you go.
We've had a few of those. Our drill instructors used to love getting mad at us, especially in the wintertime, and making us go to the sand pit in dead of winter. And shorts and a t-shirt and go out there and start working out in what felt like shards of glass.
Oh yeah. Oh my God, the sand pit. See, I went in the summer, so it was just dead hot. It was just, oh God.
Oh,
when
yeah.
you're sweaty and the sand just is like, oh.
Yeah, we definitely did it year round, but I definitely remember the few times we had to go to the sand pit in the dead of winter.
All right.
See, lesson learned, sand pits, never fun.
Nope, sand pits are never fun, but it did give me an appreciation for working out in the sand.
And now you go to the gym, sand free.
Now I go to the gym, yep.
In AC.
Scooter, you have a question?
Yes. Now, let's get to the, I think, the subject that's on everybody's mind. You are, in fact, a twin, and that fascinates me in terms of the whole aspect. I always grew up wishing I had a twin, and you started wrestling first, correct? And then your sister started about not so long after you?
We actually started at the same time.
Oh, you did start at the same time, okay.
Yes, but I was the one who wanted to. My sister had just gotten out of college for softball. She played college softball. And she was kind of over like any kind of like working out or activity at that point in time. But she loved wrestling. We loved to watch wrestling with my dad. And I had just decided one day, I'm going to go do this. You can come with me if you'd like. And she decided to come with me the first day of training. She said, if I don't like it, I just won't come back. But we both fell in love with it. And we both decided to do it. So, yeah, we started the same day, same amount of training. But she definitely did not want to start at first. She definitely did not want to do it.
Okay. So, given how much time has passed, what makes you different than her in terms of the styles you've adapted? What style have you adapted? What style has she adapted? And have you been essentially concurrently learning things from each other?
So Charlotte and I have always been very competitive between each other, super compared to each other as well. We played softball together when we were kids. Always the main difference between Charlotte and I was she was the bigger, powerful, stronger of the two. I was the more petite, skinny, not as strong as Charlotte. So especially in wrestling, Charlotte is definitely the powerhouse, and I'm the little, I don't really do flips, but I do love to do little fast spots. My move set is more quick and striky and jumpy than hers. She's way more powerful than I am. So that's one thing that can really get us separated, especially when you watch us. Let's see what else. I mean, other than physical, I mean, because we definitely, there's definitely a big difference when you look at us. I have super short, curly hair. She has super long, straight hair. So that's another way.
She's bigger in terms of the height and everything. Are you the older one, or is she the older one?
She's the older one.
Now, I have to ask, did she lord that over you growing up?
Oh, yeah, she loves to tell me that she's the older of the two. The bigger, the stronger.
But that authority only gets so far. Because I'm the oldest, so I feel the point of view. Like, dude, we were at the same time. What are you talking about?
Right. You can't really say much, girl. We were born freaking 8 minutes apart. So I definitely can see where obviously we have to have our separate little things. Also, growing up, we never wanted to do the same thing. We never wanted to wear the same thing, never wanted to like the same colors. I was always a black and gray and mute color type of girl, and my sister was a very colorful person. She always loved to wear all the colors. She was super girly growing up, and I was super not. Let's see, her favorite color is pink, favorite color is blue. So like we just were constantly on two separate fields and two separate like wavelengths, but we're always working together, always growing up, doing the same thing, whether we wanted to do it or not, and always playing off of each other and supporting each other. Like I said, softball, me and my sister played about 3 or 4 years of softball together. We were a duo. You never saw one of us without the other. She was a catcher and I was a slap hitter, so that meant I was just super fast. So when she was catching, I was probably in the outfield making sure that nothing happened. I was center field. So like Charlotte and I always worked together. We just were constantly on two different things. We did not like being compared to each other, especially me, being the younger out of the two.
Now, you didn't like being compared to each other, but I have to think that there were times when being a twin came in handy. Is there any story you could tell us where you two may have switched places and nobody realized it?
Little twin magic.
A little twin magic. So definitely a few times. Charlotte and I have had a few guys here and there where we just didn't really enjoy, and we were like, "Hey, man, we're just gonna switch off on these for this one time." And most of the time, it would to be check and see if that person was so. Yeah, pretty much. And if we wanted to waste our time, probably one of us would go on the first date, the second of us would go on the second date. If we both had the same thought process on it, we would just be like, "Oh, definitely not. We're cool."
Sisters before misters.
There's been a few times that that's happened.
See, just when I was about to go, thank you for simplifying it for the men. Y'all go and tell that story, making it way more harder than
Now, could you, because your sister is also your tag team partner, can you tell us the advantages and disadvantages of teaming with your sister?
Well, the advantages I feel like would be we worked together. Like I've said this whole interview, we worked together our whole lives. We have good chemistry. But on the same side of that coin, you know, being a sister and growing up together, we can sometimes butt heads. So I feel like a lot of the time, yes, we work together and yes, we play off of each other and it works and it becomes magic in the ring. But behind the scenes, sometimes it is a little bit hard. It is a little bit of a battle between the two of us as far as what do we want to do? How do we want to go about this? That kind of thing. But I definitely think that, you know, being sisters and being so close, it works. I wouldn't choose anybody else to tag with. Honestly, if it wasn't my sister, I probably wouldn't tag with anybody. Let's see, what else? Benefits. Charlette and I definitely Sorry, guys. My mind just blanked. I don't know what.
You're fine.
I don't know why. But yeah, I would say definitely being super close is a benefit, but I also think being super close is can be a little bit of a struggle sometimes. It can cause us to butt heads a little bit. I also think that because my sister and I are so close and we started at the same time, we both have different, we both look at wrestling different. She looks at it one way than I do, and sometimes we'll sit down and we'll have a conversation about a match or what we feel like we should have done different, and we'll just have a little bit of an argument. But once again, I feel like that comes down to we're sisters, we're siblings. It's a completely different thing than most people who are just friends or trainees or whatever it is that just get together and they just work together. But yeah, I feel like Charlotte and I definitely, the fact that we both look at wrestling two different ways and we both have a different moveset and the way that we call our matches and work together, and she moves a completely different way than I do in the ring, and I feel like on the same way that I said it can cause some issues, it can cause it'll how can I put this? It'll make me look at different wrestling different. It'll make me look at it's a different perspective, I should say.
Yes,
I just feel like having two of us, it makes wrestling easier and harder. We both get to have different insights of what we're doing and how we're doing it, but we also, like I said, butt heads and don't agree with each other sometimes.
Now, all that being said, and it was your idea to go to wrestling, are you the supportive sister, or are you the Roman Reigns head of the table, fall in line each sister?
I would say I'm a little bit of both. I'm a very headstrong person. I enjoy, let me not say I enjoy confrontation, but I'm not above confrontation. My sister is not that person. She doesn't like confrontation at all.
Okay. I'm
So
painting the
with that
picture.
being said, she's definitely the most sensitive out of the two. But with that being said, I do support her because she is a little bit more sensitive than I am. But at the same time, I have a very small patience for sensitivity. I'm not a very emotional person. So, and I respond well to someone looking me in my face and telling me to suck it up and get over it. So, as much as I support her, I do give her a lot of tough love. I definitely make sure that she's supported, but there's definitely some tough love in there. I know just last week we had a little tough conversation. But she is a super supportive sister as well. She loves everything that I'm doing. I love everything that she's doing. We support each other even in our singles debuts and matches and everything like that. So I remember just last week when I wrestled, she was sidelined. She wasn't wrestling with me, but she freaked out. When I got out there, she freaked out. I heard her look at me and she goes, "That's my sister!" So we definitely support each other, but I definitely think out of the two of us, I'm a little bit more tough love, a little bit more get it together, girl.
All right. Kaliko, you have a question.
I'm just gonna chalk that up to the Marine in you. We chalking that up to the drill hat. I'm just gonna take that. Just put
She
it
was in
on.
RTC actually longer than I was. She was in RTC for her full 4 years of high school, but she did not enjoy it the way that I enjoyed it.
Exactly. I was just about to say, yeah, you could be in it. I've been to boot camp with people who liked it. That don't mean that they liked it.
I love it. I think everything that they're saying. I don't know. I was a grown up, very and she was too, but I was the bad one out of the two of us. I was the trouble starter, the renegade, if you will. And I was the little trouble starter out of the two of us. So I got in a lot of trouble growing up, and I feel like that's another reason why I kind of love the military the way I do. I don't mind someone yelling at me in my face. I knew that there was a few times growing up. Charlotte was in high school. and a gunnery sergeant has yelled at her, made her cry. And she came home crying about it. Well, I don't think I ever cried over one of our drill sergeants or gunnery sergeants or majors, just yelling at us. I kind of just took it and tried not to laugh. And then,
See, you call it trouble, I call it active. See, that's the thing. You call it a troublemaker, I call it you active. You active. You about that life.
I was a very rambunctious child. I was a little bit of a rebel.
Oh, see, there we go.
Renegade.
But that helps. That helps. Renegade. It fits perfectly. Well, my question is in pertaining to you and your sister tag teaming, and considering that I noticed like on bigger wrestling promotions like WWE, they really don't push women's tag team as much as they had when they first started. My question is, considering that you have tagged with your sister, what is the scene for women's tag team in the independent scene? Because I feel like it's two different operations in a sense, because I feel like bigger corporations, WWE, they kind of do it, try to get the gravitas of showing, hey, we have women that can do it, but the indies are actually doing the groundwork in establishing women's tag team.
Yeah.
Do you think that is the case?
I definitely think it's a more prominent scene on the indie scene. A lot of, how can I put this? You don't see a lot of tag team women's wrestling at all, ever, really, especially on, TV promotions, AEW, WWE. You don't see a lot of them. You will get a tag team tournament, women's tag team tournament maybe once a year, but you don't see a lot of it. So they push it a little bit, but not too much. But on the indies, it definitely is a little bit more. You still don't see a lot of women's tag teams. There's only maybe a few women, especially here in Georgia, that I know of that are established, maybe 2 or 3 tag teams that are established as a women's tag team. But a lot of us are not, and it's extremely hard, especially on the indie scene, to get someone who has worked tag team and knows what's going on, or just are willing to work with someone they've never met before. It's extremely hard, but I do think that it's a big learning curve for both women in signed and women who are on the indie scene. It's a completely different feeling on either side. I have yet to work in a tag team match on an actual promotion, like a TV promotion, but I have seen it, and it's just a completely different feeling, I feel like, especially talking with the women backstage. They said it's just a different, I don't know what, a good word for it. I don't want to say aura, because that sounds weird, but pretty much different vibe. It's a different feeling. It's just a different feeling.
Well, to follow that up, I have a question then. Considering that you have worked with AEW, considering AEW is, and I feel like Mission Pro is kind of like it's kind of like the NXT women's division to AEW. Do you think that AEW is closer to establishing women's tag team based on what you've been around, or do you think that it's still got a little ways to go?
I think they're definitely a little bit more progressive than WWE, but that's just because they've recently been pushing it, especially since AEW started. They've always been a really big women's wrestling advocate. They always want to push their women out of their comfort zones and make them better athletes. So, and I feel like WWE does that, but they're not as prominent about how they're supporting their women. So I definitely think that AEW is supporting their tag teams and their women way more. what else here? I'm sorry. I'm talking too much. My brain's all funky right now.
Oh no, you're the star. We're just the background. You're Gladys Knight. We're the pimps. So yeah.
But yes, I definitely think AEW is way more progressive. They're definitely pushing and trying real hard to support any kind of women's wrestling at all. They're giving women in this business a platform to show everyone that we can do exactly what men are doing, even though it may not be exactly per se, because I'm not that person. I'm a really big women's advocate, but I will say not every woman can do what every man can do. But I will say we have a different way of doing wrestling, and it's sometimes better than men.
Oh, absolutely.
So I will say that you know, as much as not everything that men can do, we can do, but not everything that we can do, men can do. And I will say that AEW puts a light on that. It showcases and brings up the things that women do in wrestling. So I definitely feel like AEW is a really big advocate for women.
All right. Scooter, you have a question.
Yes, while we are on the topic of AEW, I want to address two subjects. First, based on social media, you've been seen in the company of one Alan Angels.
Yes.
And now my brain's all foggy. What have you learned from him in terms of essentially, I guess, climbing that hierarchy in AEW? Because you've had a number of AEW Dark matches, I think more than any of our guests previously.
Oh, well, Alan has helped me a lot. He, how can I put this? He is a very good wrestler. I enjoy watching his matches. A lot of the things that I do mimic or mirror the things that he does. A lot of the way that he structures and puts together his matches, I've taken a part of. He also is a great performer. Watching him wrestle is insane to me. So I feel like just spending all the time that I have in his presence and watching him wrestle has made me a better person and a better wrestler. He, how can I say this? It's kind of like monkey see, monkey do. The more wrestling that you watch, the better wrestlers that you watch, the better you get. Yes, as much as wrestling is a training thing, it's definitely a monkey see, monkey do thing. You have to watch good wrestling to become a good wrestler and to understand. So I will say that watching him and being able to have a lot of conversation and in-depth conversation about the way that he feels about his matches or the way he feels about mine or the way I feel about his, or maybe even sitting down. There's been multiple times me and him sat down with a few people backstage at AEW and gotten our critiques and just been able to compare notes back and forth. That is extremely helpful. I just feel like picking a person who is better than you and higher level than you is definitely going to bring you up. It's just I don't know how to explain it. It's just an easier way of getting better, I should say.
Iron sharpens iron method.
Yep. And a follow-up question on that. You are, of course, a student of QT Marshall.
Yes.
And the Nightmare Factory is very well known. But you started training with him after a certain documentary about QT was released. I'm curious, when training under him, did anyone say, "Oh, you gotta sit down and watch this documentary"? Because in my day job, I do closed captioning, and one of the things I ended up captioning was QT Marshall's documentary, which was released in 2017. So I'm wondering, was there any sort of like, I guess, mythical, like ritualistic thing about having to watch the documentary at all while you were training in the Nightmare Factory?
It was a very eye-opener documentary. I will say that QT Marshall actually sent it to me, and he told me to watch it himself. He said, just so you know, this was a while ago. He knows that it doesn't necessarily paint him in the best light, but it doesn't paint him in the wrong light either. He said, just so you know, when you watch it, it was a long time ago. QT knows. He he watched it himself. He says, this is my documentary. It's a very big learning experience. Just watching and seeing how other people act and how other people treated him and how he reacted to those people doing the same things. It's just a really big learning curve. It's almost like watching any other person's documentary. You watch and you take notes and you learn from other people's mistakes, and maybe not even mistakes. You learn from the things that they've done right. I will say that QT Marshall is the best coach I've ever had. And like I said, I've done a lot of sports, had a lot of coaches over the years. So QT is a great coach. He is a great wrestler. He has elevated me and my wrestling tremendously. But yes, QT Marshall, I did watch it, and it never really painted him in a different light for me. Didn't change my opinion of him. It just gave me a more of an understanding of who QT was and why he is the way he is. He's a very great coach. Don't get me wrong. He's an awesome person. But it does show why QT is the way he is and what his life has been through wrestling. And I feel like a lot of people don't realize that wrestling is a really tough sport. It's mind draining. It messes with you. It's draining on your body. It's hard. Wrestling is a hard sport to get through, and it's really hard to push through and hope that you make it, because once again, wrestling's not a guaranteed sport. You don't just start it and you get a job because you've been wrestling for however long. You have to be competitive and maneuver through people, around people, and show that you can work and that you're able to work, you're flexible. So I feel like that alone elevates QT Marshall, because he did do that. He worked his ass off to get to where he was. Oh, sorry, cussing.
No, you're fine.
No worries.
But yeah, he worked his butt off to get to where he is, and that documentary definitely showed that as well. So it just opened my brain and showed me that not everything, especially in this business, is going to come easy. You have to work for it.
I mean, the scariest thing in the documentary to me was, Matt Riddle with the short hair afro.
Yep.
But that's a great thing to hear.
I remember QT asking me one day who was one of my favorite wrestlers, and I told him it was Matt Riddle. And he goes, I bet you just said that because you watched my documentary and you know I trained him. And I was like, no. He was really one of my favorite wrestlers. But it helps that you trained him. It helps me.
Going back to Alan, how do you feel about him being in the Dark Order, and would you ever consider joining the Dark Order?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, anything that it's gonna sound very business, but anything AEW tells me to do, probably at this point, I'll probably do. But yes, I don't mind him being in the Dark Order. I think it's elevated his career immensely. It's done wonders for his wrestling. The amount of people that he has in his group, the support that he gets. As much as BTE paints it that he doesn't, he does. Those people give a shit about him. So, but I think it's definitely elevated his career, and I definitely think it's a great thing for him. It's done nothing but good things for him. So I'm happy for him. I'm happy he's living his dream and he's doing what makes him happy and doing it well at that. So
now, one of the other things, and we've been talking about tag team wrestling and singles and all that good stuff. So, are you a singles wrestler that does tag matches, or a tag team wrestler that does singles matches?
I'm a tag wrestler that does singles matches sometimes. Most of the time, especially on the indie scene, you'll see me and my sister tagging more often than not.
Yes.
I think there's only been maybe 1 or 2 matches where it's been just me. I don't even think my sister's had a single match on the indies just yet. I do know that my few singles matches on the indies have been when I first started. It was in this weird, awkward 3 months where my sister wasn't wrestling. She had gotten hurt, and she decided, I'm just not going to. I think I quit. I don't feel good. I don't like the way I feel right now. So she took about 3 months off. I had my debut when she was out of wrestling, and I had maybe 2 or 3 matches, and then she had a spot in just a show. She had showed up to watch me wrestle. QT had asked her, hey, do you want a spot in today's show? And she said, yeah. And then after that, she fell back in love with wrestling. She said, I don't know why I quit. And so she started wrestling again. And then ever since then, it's just been me and my sister on the indie scene, tagging together, connected at the hip.
Awesome. Now, Kaliko, you have a colossal question.
I do, but I also want to get into her singles wrestling before I get to that, because your resume on AEW, I can make an argument you've wrestled some of the upper echelon of women in that division, and considering how you wrestled them and you hung with them for the most part, does that instill confidence in you as you progress forward into singles wrestling, where you're not feeling like you're out of your comfort zone?
Oh, yes, for sure. I definitely think wrestling at AEW and having the singles matches that I have and the women that I've been wrestling with, they're amazing women to wrestle. I know my first match at AEW was with Thunder Rosa. Super grateful for that opportunity. Super grateful that was my opponent. We are extremely similar in the way that we wrestle. She's a little bit more technical and grappling than I am, but she is a huge role model for me, especially in wrestling. So wrestling with her and being able to wrestle at the level that I am wrestling at and that she's wrestling at is amazing. It is a little bit out of my comfort zone, I will say, especially my first match in front of a live crowd at AEW was with Layla Hirsch. That was completely out of my comfort zone. I had never been in a situation where that many people were there, and it's such a big promotion or stage, I should say. It was insane. And the person that I was wrestling, like Layla, is amazing. All these women that I've ever been able to wrestle with on AEW are amazingly talented wrestlers. They've definitely elevated me in my wrestling. I actually had that conversation with Nyla, Thunder Rosa, and Layla last week. They have brought my wrestling and the way I look at wrestling completely up. And it's just elevated me and my confidence, the way I move in the ring, just everything. I definitely think that they've added more good than bad to my wrestling and the way that I look at it. The singles matches, I don't want to say they're easier than tag matches, but in a way they are, but in a way that they're not. They put a spotlight on you and everything that you're doing. So just being able to wrestle with the women that I have and being able to work with the women that I have, it's just extremely amazing, and I'm super grateful for the opportunities that I've been given.
That's awesome, because I've seen some of your matches, of course, with Thunder Rosa, but Chris Statlander, who's a very popular lady. Nyla Rose is also up there in the contendership for the women's title. So just getting that spotlight and showing that you can hold your own, I think that really just encapsulates everything you just said, and you might be on your way as a singles person. You never know.
You never know.
All right, now, James, I'm going to get into my colossal question. Hopefully, I could get a double pack because she's a twin. Let's see if that happens, right? So you did say you briefly had started your career. That hasn't been that long, but in the midst of it not being that long, to me, I think it's been very successful. And you and your sister are on the trajectory upwards, especially in women's wrestling, as I feel like we're just starting a genesis of a peak. Considering that you haven't been in that long, I'll give it to you. Let's say they do a movie about your wrestling career. It just started. I don't know why they would do it. Let's just say they do a movie about your wrestling career, you and your sister, and it's starring Angelina Jolie and some other badass chick who could look like Angelina Jolie. But every movie has a soundtrack. Every movie has a soundtrack and a score. So, based on your wrestling career and how you feel it's going up to this point, what would be the 5 songs that you would pick that would best encapsulate your wrestling career story?
Oh, this is so hard.
And if it's you have your sister.
That is such a hard question to answer. I can give you a general idea of where it would all go. Me and my sister grew up loving old school R&B and rap, some really hard gangster rap as well. So my sister grew up loving Biggie, and I grew up loving Tupac.
Oh, wait a minute. Scratch the soundtrack question. What was going on in that house during the feud? I'm just
me and my sister, we would just constantly, especially growing up and like being able to drive at 15, 16 years old, we would drive in the car and we'd always constantly have arguments over who we were listening to, what we were going to listen to, all that good stuff. But we do love very classic R&B and rap and hip hop and all that good stuff. So it would probably be something from that era, probably something from 1990s to the 2000s, early 2000s, maybe a little bit later, maybe 80s, maybe 70s. We are very well-rounded.
Give me a song. Give me a song. Let's get the song. We gotta get a song. I gotta get a song now.
My favorite, my fight song, as I would say when I was a kid, was "Hail Mary" by Tupac.
Oh, okay. Okay. Come with me.
Super hyped up. My sister, let's see. I can't remember exactly what song. I'm gonna see if I can't find it real quick.
Was it a Biggie song?
It was a Biggie song. I don't want to say it was Big Papa, even though she really loved that one. But she was
Hypnotized.
She loves some Biggie. Like I said, though, I don't know a lot of Biggie songs. I'm not super big into Biggie. I wish my sister was here. I wish you guys could get her answer.
See, I'm kind of scratching it because you said you guys would fight in the car over that. And here's my question, because Biggie had a diss song called "Who Shot You," and it was about Tupac. And Tupac had a song "Hit 'Em Up," which was a diss to Biggie. So my question is, did y'all ever play that in the car? Would one get mad over the other?
Yes. we used to fight over which one was going to play that song first. Which one was going to put those songs on first?
Because I can see you playing it and it going, first off, fuck your bitch, and I can see your sister going, that's why I ain't like your kneecaps. That's why I hate your kneecaps right there. That's why I don't like.
Yes. Honestly though, if it were up to me, you could pick any song from Biggie or Tupac, or any 5 songs from Biggie and Tupac, and they could probably fit into our life. And probably that our documentary, to be honest. We just loved them. I don't really want to go straight into our life and how we grew up, but we definitely grew up a little bit rough, a little bit rowdy. So I will say that I do think they pertain to us a little bit more. So yeah, I think like I said, can't really think off the top of my head right now. That was such a spur of the moment question. But
well, I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt because Tupac has a longer discography than Biggie, so
Exactly.
kind of went by default a little bit.
Kalika,
I love Tupac. I love Tupac. My mom used to say to me all the time that she loves Tupac as well. That's probably where I got it from. But she used to tell me all the time she would stalk Tupac if he was still alive.
There's, and this is just my observation, there's almost a big similarity in the eras of Tupac's career and you guys growing up, because you had Tupac starting out with Digital Underground, the Rebellion, then his NWA days, and then his solo career. So it's actually quite fitting. It's an evolution of sorts.
Yes, it definitely is. I'm so sorry, guys. My phone's about to die. I'm looking for my charger. I'm trying to get to it before it dies.
And I'm from New York. I'm a Biggie guy. James and Cali. Well, I don't know what James likes, but
wait a minute, I'm from the South. I live in Cali. I'm from the South. I'm an outcast. I'm an outcast, Luda, UGK dude.
I didn't even think about it. Oh, didn't even think about it. Sorry. So sorry, guys. I'm walking through the building. I'm so sorry.
It's good.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
There's a lot going on. Everybody's training right now, and there's a lot of different people going on.
Hi, QT. No.
Right.
I know. Hi, QT. Hello.
Say hi to all the campers, guys. But yes, I definitely think that Biggie and Tupac would represent me and my sister extremely, extremely well. Especially considering we did not.
So
turn off.
Would that make QT? Would that make? I think that would make QT Dr. Dre. But I don't even want to attempt equating Hood and Suge.
Yeah, I'm not even yet.
Yeah.
No.
Right. So basically, Biggie and Tupac is the soundtrack to the Robyn Renegade story.
Yes, for sure.
Scooter, you have a question?
Yes, one final question on my list. Now,
Don't forget the Burger King question.
I will Burger King you, James. Now, Renegade, obviously. Now, there's a very popular emote in a very popular video game called Fortnite. Don't know. I believe it started as a TikTok. Of course, the Renegade. Has it ever crossed your mind to incorporate that into a match? And have any younger fans you've encountered asked the same question essentially? Do you know how to do the Renegade?
Yes, actually. So my sister is a very goofy person, and the first thing she thought of when we got our names was we should do that. Me personally, it's a little bit out of my comfort zone. I don't think me personally I would want to. I love dancing, don't get me wrong. That's another sport that I played when I was a kid. I did a lot of dancing. I love to dance. But I feel like in this business, how I want to be perceived is not as a goofy little dancer in the ring. But my sister loves it. And I remember we did a charity show for breast cancer in October. And we had a bunch of little girls come out and they asked us to do the Renegade dance with them ringside. And we did, and it was fun. And I'm definitely not above doing it for fans and for especially kids who come up and ask. But if you were to ask me to do it in the ring, unless your gimmick was that you're a dancer, I probably would not do it. But my sister is a very goofy person, and she loves to do all types of goofy stuff in the ring.
Now,
I mean, as long as it's not MC Hammer too legit to quit, you're pretty good.
Right.
Hey! Too legit to quit. No.
now, what is outside of wrestling? What is Robyn a Renegade about?
Hello?
Yeah. Did you?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought my thing turned off.
No.
Um,
Outside of wrestling,
you're asking-
what is Robyn a Renegade most about?
Honestly, me and Alan just had this conversation the other day about someone asking me if I had any hobbies outside of wrestling. And I told him, I said, I don't really have very many hobbies. Like if someone were to ask me outside of wrestling, what do you do? I don't do a lot. I wrestle. It's a huge lifestyle. If I do know when I started wrestling, I was still playing softball. So I would, outside of wrestling, especially, I would miss wrestling sometimes to go play softball. I would practice at 6 o'clock, get done at 9:30, rush over here and train from about 9:45, 10 o'clock till about 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. But then I aged out of softball, couldn't play it anymore. So ever since then, I've kind of just really dove myself into wrestling. Me and my sister kind of just made wrestling our lifestyle. It's everything that we do, everything that we watch. And if we're not doing that, especially me, I'm probably sleeping or I don't know. I just turned 21, just had a 21st birthday.
Congratulations.
Charlotte as well. So we recently we've been having a little bit of fun with that. But outside of that, we don't do much. We are really just involved in wrestling, a lot of wrestling. Going to as many shows as we possibly can, trying to get booked on as many shows as we possibly can. We've been traveling nonstop. I know this is probably the first time I've been home in about a month and a half, just been on the road constantly. I'd get back home one day and then the next day have to leave. So this is probably the longest I've been home in about a month and a half, 2 months. So wrestling kind of just, we don't really do much outside of wrestling. More wrestling, you know.
Now, this next question, I'm not entirely sure if I got this right or if I'm maybe assuming something. So I'm just going to say something and I want to hear your reaction.
Okay.
Celtic woman. Celtic woman. Does that mean anything to you?
Yeah. Yeah. Before I answer this question, where did you get that?
I can't reveal my sources.
We have our
Disclaimer: we are not the feds. I know how sisters. Just a disclaimer: we not the feds. We ain't FBI. I'm just like, and we ain't no snitches. Just like.
No, you're good. So,
right, get her.
like I said earlier about our music choice, we are very well-rounded as far as it comes to music. We're very cultured when it comes to music. We love all kind of music. Growing up, there was definitely about a 2 or 3 year span where my sister and I loved this group of women who were Scottish singers, and they're called the Celtic Women. And we would sit at home and sing in Scottish all the time. We would dance and we would sing and we would listen to this music for hours. My parents used to get so mad. Wow, that's crazy. I didn't expect that question at all.
Scottish Gaelic.
Yes.
Okay.
How did you even find this? YouTube searching?
Yep. My aunt or my grandmother, one year, she took us to a Celtic women's concert that was somewhere in Georgia. I can't exactly remember. I was really young, probably around 10, 11. And we went, and it was such a big thing and such a beautiful experience that my sister and I just kind of fell in love with it. We are also knowing, and me, how I love to dance and I love music. It was a completely different experience for me. It brought a whole different feeling to like just that culture in general, and understanding and everything else. So, and my sister just loves weird things. She is in love with just the like things that you would never expect someone to like. She's super big on musicals. She loves musicals. I know recently we just went through a Cats and Hamilton phase. And we, like I said, we just turned 21 years old, still listening to Cats and Hamilton. So
you're like,
you know, like
Peter and Mungo Jerry.
Right, yes. So we just it's not like, looking back on it, it's not out of the norm for us, but I'm sure from an outsider's point of view, you're like, really, guys?
Well, it's just
not,
not
for me, for sure.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, we loved it. We growing up, we were very well rounded. My dad was super into old school rock and like screamo and metal and heavy metal and all that stuff. And my mom was really into country and gangster rap and R&B. And then my grandparents were really into, like I said, Celtic music and like all the weird things. And that just kind of really well-rounded us. We have a really broad appreciation for music. We just love it in general. So if we listen to a song and we like it and we enjoy it enough, trust and believe we'll probably listen to it 20 times before the week's over.
Probably the same way.
So the music that most dominated the house when it was time to clean up was
definitely R&B and gangster rap. But that's just because there was 3 women in the house who loved it and 2 men who did not. So guess what?
Wow. Your dad's like, I don't get this hippity hop stuff, and your mom's like, first off, fuck you, bitch, and
yeah. Definitely.
All right. Controversial question. Pineapple on pizza. What's your stance?
Oh, so as a kid, I really enjoyed it, and I think it's because I enjoyed sweet things. I love candy. Even as an adult, I love candy. I love sweets. So like adding something sweet onto my pizza as a kid, I probably really enjoyed it. Now as an adult, definitely not. Please don't put pineapple on my pizza. I know Alan Angel's really controversial. He loves pineapple and banana peppers on his pizza.
Ooh.
Interesting. I love banana peppers on my pizza too.
So honestly, me personally, please don't put pineapples on my pizza. But Alan Angels loves him some pineapples on his pizza.
When you said pineapple on pizza, if it was gonna be ham, I was thinking Master Slamovich on his ass.
Oh man.
I definitely did do that to Von Vertigo. What's your spirit Pokemon?
Oh, that's such a hard question, considering I also just got into Pokemon. Actually, let me pull up my stuff because
She's pulling up
I don't know
stuff.
them that well. Let's see. I love I love the ocean and the water, so probably any kind of water Pokemon. But I'm gonna go with a very basic answer here. Don't hate me.
Noble.
It's probably gonna be a Squirtle. Mostly because I love cute things. I love animals. That's another thing about me. I have always loved animals my whole life. Any kind of animal, the smallest animal to the biggest animal, the ugliest animal to the cutest animal. I think they all have a purpose, and I think they all have their own little feelings. So, with that being said, I love little cute things, and I love the water. I am such a water bug. We just spent probably 3 weeks at a beach and on water. So, with that being said, yes, probably some kind of water Pokemon, and just because one off right off my head, Squirtle, or a Bulbasaur. I love, again, very basic Pokemon.
We can't hate
but
you
I love
for loving the OGs.
Yeah, that's the OG.
The OG, yeah.
Bulbasaur.
Yeah. Yes.
Now the weirdest question you'll ever be asked on a wrestling podcast. Would you ever consider wrestling a Rock? Not Dwayne Johnson, Scooter.
Not the country.
An actual Rock.
So, I will say this. If anyone asked me to wrestle a Rock, I would look at them really funky, ask them if it was a real question, if this is a real match you're trying to put together. And then if they told me yes, I would probably do it. I've seen multiple wrestlers wrestle dummies and children and, like things like that, like fake people. I know Kenny Omega is not a stranger to wrestling a fake person, a dummy, and making it look like a actual match. So, am I opposed to it? No. Is it something I would think twice about? Probably.
Just for context, there's this guy called Psycho Mike that wrestled a Rock for over 15 minutes and what was called a Tungsten Man match, an Iron Man match that lasted for 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yes.
That's props right there. That you earned my respect for that one, man.
Or rather,
I was just thinking, I was like, I probably would only wrestle a Rock for like 2 minutes.
He did it for 2 weeks.
Wow, that's
in a draw.
crazy. For 15 minutes? Oh no, that's crazy.
And it wasn't the first time he had a match with The Rock as well.
Wow.
It was the rematch.
Yeah, the blow off.
Well, that's earned my respect right there. If you can wrestle a Rock for 2 weeks and a 15-minute match, oh yes, you've earned my respect.
Now it is once again time for that segment. Robyn Renegade's Bizarre Adventure. You're a wrestler that goes up and down the road, and weird, crazy, and bizarre things are bound to happen. Can you tell us a road story that fits that description?
Let's see. Actually, yeah. This past week, actually, so we went on the road and we went to Tampa this past week, and we decided to go out to a bar one night, and it was a goth bar. And it was my first experience there. Don't know exactly why we were there. We just thought it would be a really cool experience, out of our comfort zone. So we went, and the first thing that we saw in this experience was a chick, but she was dressed up like an anime chick and had like this mask on that was like completely plastic, and it covered her whole face. And she had these giant ponytails that were like yarn, and they were like red and black. And she, in the club, danced the entire night in this cute little like bikini outfit and these high little boots, knee-high boots that are heels, and just this mask on. all night long. And it was like the craziest thing we've ever seen. We were watching it and we were like, is this really happening? And then a few more people came in that way. And we were just like, wow, this is nuts. This is crazy. We're expecting something completely different. But yes, that's one experience. Actually, being on the road recently, there's not been a lot of things that's been going crazy. Granted, we're not most of the time when we're traveling and we have things to do, like when we went to Texas this past week, we were constantly busy. We were training and we were moving, and I know we spent the first 3 days that we were down in Texas in San Antonio, and we trained with Thunder Rosa at her school every day. And then when we weren't training with Thunder, we were probably eating with Thunder or going to sleep. And then we had the show. We went to Austin and we had the show. And then from Austin, we just went home. So there wasn't a lot of like room for error or room for craziness going on. Florida is just crazy as it is. I feel like I don't really need an explanation for that.
Oh, no, Dr. Good.
But yeah, Florida's just crazy as it is. Again, well, let me say this. In Texas, we did see somebody that was kind of crazy. There was this homeless man on the side of the road, and I saw him twice in this whole trip. And he had a headband on, like a sweatband on his head. And he had two, like, branches on the side of his head in the headband. And it looked like he had antlers. Like, and he was just sitting there all day long. I saw him like twice and like a few hours in between as each like sighting of him. And he just had antlers on his head. It was really weird.
I told my dad to stay put.
He just kept sitting down and just had little tree branches, like he had antlers in his head. It was kind of weird. But
that is awesome and very bizarre.
But I mean, that's about it.
On a more serious note, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
I'm sorry?
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Well, hopefully I'm signed to a big promotion by 5 years down the line. 5 years down the line, I should be a few years away from my 10-year. So I'm hoping that we have a little bit of a buzz coming out. Again, hopefully we're signed and we're making it someplace, making good money, traveling constantly. But I mean, other than that, I hope that we're making a difference. I see ourselves being almost a really big women's advocate in wrestling. I want to change things in the way that women and men and the audience look at wrestling, especially the women in the business. We want to really push our fellow women. I know how hard it is for women in this business to become wrestlers and then stay in this business. It's a very hard business. Like I said earlier, it's very mentally draining and physically draining. It can really like make women turn like just give them really bad confidence issues. It's just a lot of wrestling is just really hard, especially for women trying to get booked, trying to get paid the right way. Some bookers love to, mess women over just because they're women and they think that they can walk all over them.
Oh, yeah.
I know that we've had a few of those people, a few of those promoters who just feel like they can walk all over us. And I just feel like hopefully in 5 years, even if we're not signed in 5 years, that's perfectly okay. Hopefully we are. I'm going to keep my fingers crossed. But even if we're not, that'll be okay as long as we're making a difference in some kind of way, shape, form, or fashion, whether it's in the lives of our fellow women wrestlers or it's in the lives of the fans. I would rather I feel like that's another thing that I joined wrestling for, is I know that it's a way bigger platform to change a life. That's another reason I wanted to join the Navy. I could change a life. It might be a small person. It might be a very small amount of people, but that person's life that I've been able to have my hands in and help that person, I've changed that person either in some way, shape, or fashion, hopefully for the better. But that's always been my biggest motivation, is just trying to change lives for the better, make someone think differently, open their brain, just change a life, be a good influence. I know that we're heels most of the time, so obviously the things that we're doing in the ring aren't going to do much as far as good influencing goes. But the way that I act backstage, or the way I interact with my fans, I want to change the way people look at us, and just change a life. Put my handprint or my footprint in someone's life, for the better. And that's always been my my motivation, at least.
That's awesome. Great answer. And what is a match people should go out of their way to see that best shows off what Robyn Renegade is all about?
Let's see. That's a really hard question. I would say probably this past match that we just had on Mission Pro. It really showcased the way Charlette and I wrestle, and what we have, our intention and our intentions in wrestling. Definitely watch this past match. I'm pretty sure it aired the 16th, or no, the 12th. The 12th of June. And
on IWTV or YouTube?
It was on Title Match Network.
Okay. So absolutely go see that match for sure.
Yes, it was a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, I cut you off.
Let's see, what was I going to say? I'm so sorry. Yeah, it was a really good match. The little blue dragon, Station, and Killer Kate, or Station, I should say. Sorry, I keep always messing her name up in the pronunciation. But Station and Killer Kate, they're great wrestlers, great women to wrestle and have a chance to share the ring with. They were fantastic. So I definitely think you should watch that match, and go ahead and watch some of theirs too. They're fantastic women to watch wrestle and to work with.
All right. And since we're nearing the conclusion of this interview, we are wrestling with the 8 questions of doom.
Dun, dun, dun.
8 questions of doom. That sounds great.
No doom to be incurred.
This is our speed round, our bonus round, the round where we find out who you really are. Are you ready, Robyn?
Yes, I'm ready.
Excluding yourself, greatest wrestler of all time.
Sasha Banks, in my opinion.
Worst wrestler of all time.
Ooh. Nia Jax.
Ooh. Interesting.
Oh.
Now we got beef. I like Nia. How dare you?
Nia's my boo.
You're main eventing All Out for the Women's Championship. Who is your opponent?
Sasha Banks.
If you could come out to anyone's entrance music, past or present, who would it be?
Vince McMahon.
Ooh, interesting. Finish the sentence. Kayfabe is
Real.
squash. Fruit or vegetable?
One more time, please.
Squash. Fruit or vegetable?
It's a vegetable.
Thank you. See, I knew. See that Marine spirit. It's the Marine bond. I got it. I felt that right there in my spirit.
It's a vegetable.
Just because it's said doesn't make it so.
It's actually a fruit, but But now you're in good graces with Calico Yachts. You're part of Squash Squad, which means a lot more.
I mean,
I
she was
love
a devil
squash.
dog, so we devil dog be damned. I mean, that squash though, that's just
So,
the icing on the cake. Icing on the
so
cake.
look, let me tell you this, guys. I grew up every summer. My grandfather had a vegetable garden in his front yard. Every summer I could have remembered growing up. I ate squash almost every day. I love squash. I
Was
love
that
squash.
squash in a fruit salad, or was it just?
Fruit salad is not a defining characteristic for a fruit.
Yeah, it is, because ain't nobody putting squashes in anything else.
Well, a tomato is a fruit, but you don't see tomatoes in fruit salads.
Oh my
Not
God, you
helping my
guys are
case.
doing it too.
Not helping my case.
I grill watermelon. So,
You grilled watermelon?
oh yeah, in place of a tomato with a fresh piece of mozzarella.
Oh, that sounds actually really good. You know what we used to do as a kid? We used to put salt on our melons, on our cantaloupe
Oh yeah.
and our watermelon.
Yep, cantaloupe and
Yep.
melons. Yep.
Next question. New Japan wrestler Taichi. His ring gear gets smaller every year, revealing more of himself to the world. My question, what is the appropriate trunks to butt cheek ratio for ring gear?
Well, me personally, I don't like having my butt all out. But at the same time, a lot of women do. A lot of women enjoy it. Me personally, my personal preference, I would rather have about 70-30, maybe 60-40 on a good day.
All right. And the main event, the last question, the thing everybody wants to know. Have you ever had a conversation with a stranger in a supermarket about Darby Allin?
No.
And that is the correct answer. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Robyn, for coming on and doing this with us.
Thank you so much, guys, for having me. It's been a great time.
Once again, where can we find you on social media and all that good stuff?
You can follow me on Instagram at robyn.renegade and on Twitter at W18Robyn.
And of course, if you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, comment, vote on YouTube and Castbox. Join us next Wednesday as we interview Janai Kai. Of course, this episode and all episodes are sponsored by Rogue Energy. Use promo code WRESTLINGWITHE for 10% off your next purchase. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at WRESTLINGWITHE, and you can follow us individually as well. I am at JamesJ993. Where can they find Felico?
I guess they can't.
Yeah. Guess he was never really here to begin with.
I'm just still hurt. That hurts.
Ooh.
Oh, you can find me trying to find more pointers on my dang on argument on this squash that I'm clicking.
Where can they find Scooter Dust?
As always, you can find me in the back seat of your car, or if you want to find me on social media, you can find me on Twitter at ScooterDust. And of course, always check out me and Rico Constantino Jr. as part of the Smoking Dragons on Twitch, playing games, D&D sessions, and everything else in between. 20 sides to every story. Come be part of ours. Twitch.tv/Smoking Dragons. Also the remix. Live audio alternate commentary, unmatched still to this day. Next time we come to you live with the remix, me and James, July 18th, Money in the Bank, only on UNB Sports 2.
Now, Robyn, I'm gonna send us out. When I say wrestling wit, you say entertainment, okay?
Awesome.
For our very special guest, Robyn Renegade, Calico Yachts, Scooter Dust, I'm James J, and this has been Wrestling with
Entertainment.
Hey, folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show. Support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.